It was the second regatta in the TP52 Super Series. Tony Langley's brand new Matador had only just hit the water. On the second leg of the first race, they were hit by sled.
It was just a case of port starboard, unfortunately. Luckily we were on starboard, not port, but it's sled entered us from the side there, as you can see. It's kind of put this boat out of contention for certainly the rest of this week, and we've just now got to concentrate our efforts firstly on getting the spare boat, which we luckily now have up at West Palm, back on the water, and then getting this one ready for Scarlino.
All the new America's Cup class boats have now been launched. Each has taken 3 years to develop. Each has a 7-figure price tag. And all are expected to hit top speeds in excess of 45 knots and stay airborne for the entire race. A radical step forward in anybody's language. 5 years ago, foiling cup boats were a fantasy. Today, they are a reality. Artemis Racing and Groupama Team France were the last 2 teams to crack bubbly over the bow.
It's pretty exciting to get a new toy. It's been a long time coming. We've had 2 development boats throughout the last couple of years, testing various foils and systems, and what we roll out today is all the things that we've learned.
Dean Barker's SoftBank Team Japan have been doing the same.
A lot of the decisions that will ultimately determine the result were set in stone months ago, and really now it's about learning to use the equipment that you've got, making the most of it, and then trying to figure out how to improve it between now and May.
But among the smiles and the onshore buzz, when it comes to revealing what the new machines can really do, the chatter dries up. So why are teams so shy? What is there to hide? And how do the new boats differ from their prototypes? The French team has been happy to lift the lid on what is under the skin of an America's Cup class cat. Although the new AC class boats are slightly longer, they take many of the systems and components developed aboard teams' test boats. The wing, pod and crossbeams are the same, as are the hydraulic and electronic circuits. But in a departure from Cup tradition, the new class shares several major elements across the fleet. The hulls are one design, and the wings are so close as to make little difference. This leaves the foils and their control systems as key areas for development. With 40+ knots of wind over the deck, aerodynamic drag is also a big deal, and teams have developed sophisticated fairings. Of the 6 crew, the front pair provide power to control the foils. The middle pair provide power for the wing trim. The helmsman controls the main foil using buttons on the wheel. The big secrets lie in the control systems for the complex networks of electrical cables and hydraulic pipework. And success may well come down to who has mastered this technical challenge the best. While teams are bashful when it comes to the hidden technology, they find it harder to conceal their enthusiasm after the first sail.
Yeah, everyone's always pretty excited when you get a new toy and you first go sailing. I'm no different at all. It is a very exciting day. Really nice breeze here, sort of 12, 15 knots. You treat the boat very gently for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then once you're allowed to push it a bit harder, we did. And the boat from the first takeoff feels really nice. And the guys who have built it and engineered it have done an amazing job.
But there is one team that has taken a bold and visible step in the design of their new boat. The Kiwis believe that generating power is a key area aboard the new machines, and have replaced conventional grinders with pedal power.
All right, so today they're doing the fitness testing. So there'll be 4 guys doing it at the same time. 3, 2, 1, go! And they just got to give it everything they got.
They're coy about showing how they do it under sail, but have been happy to show the different approach to their crew training.
Just pain, mate, just pain. Brutal. You're just hitting the limit and then trying to stay there as long as you can.
It's disgusting, and you're not allowed to stop. You're just not allowed to stop.
Hopefully it feels a bit like winning America's Cup race.
So while the new breed of cup boats might look the same on the outside, There's been plenty going on behind the scenes, but no one yet knows what the key to success will be. This year's Sailing Arabia the Tour may have taken teams to familiar locations in the Middle East, but the route had changed. Although the series still consisted of 16 days and a total of 730 nautical miles, the start was in the Omani capital of Muscat, with the first leg to Sohar. From there, the 8-boat fleet headed to Kasab, then Abu Dhabi, and downwind to Doha. By the final leg to Dubai, only one of the two teams could take the 2017 crown. Whilst Al Mouj Muscat sailed into the final stop of Dubai first, a protest for entering an exclusion zone saw them disqualified from the leg. This left Thierry Douillard's Team EFG to take the top spot on the podium. It's the head boy of the dinghy park, the senior in the Olympic fleet. But it's also a heavyweight single-hander, a brute to handle, and Olympic sailors love it. The Finn may be the oldest class in the fleet, but it is still a big draw for both experienced sailors and newcomers alike. And there is a queue to get aboard.
There's so many different aspects to the racing, and actually the technical side of it interests a lot of people. Like you can modify the sails, the mast, you can really personalise the package to yourself.
If you look to the body and the shape of the sailors from the Olympics in Sydney and now, it's completely different.
I think it's nice to keep those boats able to improve and still change and find a way to go faster and so on. Because when we look at the Nacras or the lasers, they slowly move, and you need to learn the technique. When you get the technique, there is nothing much to work on.
The class has changed a lot the last couple of years. The weight of the boat went down. The mast, the sails are really different from 15 years ago.
When I moved from a laser sailor, I had no idea about a lot of the things. Over the last couple of years, I've learned things which you can really carry forward to other racing.
Of course, on TV it's less extreme like the foiling boats, but to be doing it, you need to be very in the good rhythm, and technically it's very intense.
I think the legacy as well from the success that people have had through the fleet, it drags people towards it because they see the success that people go on to have further in sailing. They think, oh well, clearly the Finn has something that other classes don't.
Ben Ainsley, Russell Coutts, and those names still make the Finn a legendary boat.
Sunshine, a steady breeze, fine food, and perfect sailing conditions 24/7. This year's Caribbean 600 was not as advertised. The Royal Ocean Racing Club's 600-mile course around 11 islands, starting and finishing in Antigua, there is little rest for the crews as the convoluted course means that the next sail change is never far away. This year's race winners said they had completed 85 sail changes in 2 days. Along with the uncharacteristic weather, there were some other surprises too. Yet this year saw the race's biggest entry so far, with 900 sailors from 30 different nations. Some were going all out to win overall. Others were aiming to tick a box on their wish list of key offshore races. And a few were looking to square up to familiar rivals. Among them, the 70-foot trimaran Fado and her near sister ship Maserati set out on a drag race around the course. On paper, Lloyd Thornburg's Fado had more wins to her name. She and her crew also hold the record for the fastest time around the course. But Giovanni Soldini's Maserati has foils and can rise out of the water, and given the right conditions, could outpace Fado. During the race, the lead changed 4 times. But when the racing got tactical and the weather got tricky, Thornburg's crew had the edge and beat the Italian try around the course, taking line honours in the process. Meanwhile, line honours in the monohull fleet went to George David's Rambler 88, unable to better the record his crew had set in their previous boat in 2011. Hot on their heels in the Maxi 72 fleet, two previous event winners, George Sakalaris' Proteus and Hapfouth's Bellamente, had locked horns for the entire race. In the end, it was Bellamente that took the win and overall victory at the finish by just 14 minutes. Elsewhere, the impressive Swan 115 Shimano won the super yacht class in her first offshore race. Offshore racing was also a first for Olympic silver medalist Luke Patience.
Saw a water spout, humpback whales. I'd never seen phosphorescence before at night. What else? A couple of brooches. You know, it was all kicking off in the first 24 hours, you know.
The Caribbean 600 had clearly delivered once again. In fact, so strong is the race's pull that there was only one reason why two-time winner Hapfouth might not be back next year.
I will be back if I'm above the ground next year. We're looking forward to a 10th anniversary. I'll be 72, I hope, or dead, one or the other.
Next month, we find out how to service a fleet of boats that each have over 40,000 miles on the clock. They've all been raced and rallied, but they need to be matched within 1 kilogram before their next lap of the planet.